This is our video Forex blog for March 14th, 2011. And one of the things that we like to do each day is see which currencies are strong, which ones are weak, and we want to trade in the direction of the longer term trends. You can see the daily, weekly, and monthly trend of the dollar was pretty much weak. The yen became strong and remains, mostly strong most of the day. The euro was extremely strong. The Swiss is extremely strong. So we want to buy the euro against the weak dollar. We want to sell the weak dollar against the strong Swiss. And even though the weekly monthly trend of the pound was down, it has had tremendous real-time strength today. So anytime you see levels that pretty much remain strong in real-time momentum in a particular currency, even if the weekly monthly trends are down, if it happens to be one of the strongest ones, like what was the case today, you can still find a lot of good trades in the daily trend, even though the weekly monthly trend's down. So, don't expect these kind of trends to continue, although occasionally they do, like today. It looks like it came up to 6,200 and is pulling back now. So let's look at the euro-dollar chart first. You can see that, on Friday it exploded up into the close, gapped up on Sunday night and kind of went sideways, and it was above the previous day's high. When currencies are above the hourly, those are areas where you want to look for buys. You might have bought this little pullback right here. Didn't really go up that much. It went sideways for a while and broke out right here. You might have got in that trade, and again, nothing really came from it. You bought this breakout right here, and you can see it only went up a few pips. And really the best trade was when it pulled back to support, weekly pivot, which is the average price of the previous week, 10-day moving average, previous day's high, and the hourly moving average right there. Counter trend buy signal in the direction of the trend. This is the best trade of the day. You got in and went right up to our upper containment bands, monthly pivot level, and this was one of our Fibonacci profit targets that was predicted on Friday for today. You can see the market eventually broke above it, but it acted as major resistance. Anytime a resistance area gets hit once, twice, three times, the third and further instances, when it breaks out, you are likely to get a nice little pop as stops get hit. A lot of times, major resistance areas, traders that are short have stops right above it. As you saw earlier, the pound was also extremely strong today. Initially, it sold off. When it came back above the hourly after finding support down here, there was a little bit of weakness. The weakness disappeared on the double bottom. When it broke back above the hourly, I would wait to have bought it right here because the weekly monthly trend were down. So you don't, if a weekly monthly trend's up, you can more safely buy the lows in the currency. This one, the trend is somewhat down on a weekly basis, so wait for here. This was your first profit target. This is your second. Went sideways there, you would have exited. And again, a resistance area that was hit once, twice, pretty much three times and stayed up there. When it finally breaks out, it is very likely to trend. Here's our first Fibonacci profit target, and you can see it kind of stalled at that level. Nice place to get out of that trade with about a 40 pip profit. And then you also have a nice little flag pattern right here. When it broke out again, get into that trade, draw your fibs off the previous swing, and it gives you an idea where the profit target is, right there where the price stalled. And if you're a really aggressive counter trend trader, you might want to get short up there around 6,200. You can see it's down about 17 pips now. The trend is extremely strong up today, but the weekly trend's still down. The monthly trend shifted up as of 10 on this particular pair, but it's way above our upper white containment band, and usually price reverses when it's up there. So if you are short, 6150 is a pretty decent potential profit target there. We also know the Swiss was extremely strong today, so looking to sell the dollar Swiss is always a good thing. When the longer term trend's down, you can see all the time frame trends are down. It had moved up, and here is the fib target. This would have been a good zone to look to sell. It didn't quite get there. Weekly pivot, counter trend sell signals, pretty decent place to go short. And once it breaks underneath the hourly, the trend's very likely to go down. That's what the longer term trend is. Came down here to the lower support levels without that much weakness. You might want to get out. And then on the next pullback up, couldn't get back above the 10-day moving average right here. There was some selling there. You go short, and it's kind of inching its way down. I would have probably got out of it down here around 60 for about a 20 pip move. Now the New Zealand, extremely weak today. You wouldn't necessarily want to trade that against the weak dollar, but the yen had a lot of strength today. So the selling the New Zealand yen makes a high probability trade. You can see the daily, weekly, monthly trends down. On Sunday it had absolutely collapsed and then rallied back up. And there's a lot of resistance right here. When it breaks down right here, good place to get in. And it hasn't really fallen like a rock like some of the currencies. It's down about 25 pips, but just a pretty smooth downtrend in the direction of the longer term trend. The Australian also extremely weak, the longer term trend, and so the Australian yen also would have made a good trade to the downside. Now you can see this one is stuck between all kinds of support resistance. It's always very hard to trade currencies that are in between, in this case 50-day moving average, very key resistance, weekly pivot, and a fib level where there could be some buying. You can see once it broke that fib level and retraced back up and hit the hourly, decent place to go short. Again, this one never really fell like a rock, but did fall about 30 pips here, or if you held on, maybe 40 pips. Pretty dead day outside of the euro dollar and euro yen and a couple dollar Swiss trades.